What do you mean?
Alright everybody, welcome back to another brand new video on this channel. We're playing some Freddy today, one of my favorite characters, and we're actually utilizing some dream snares today. We're using the Z block, we're using the class photo, we're using Undying with Devour, Franklin's, and v.h.s.x Attunement, and we're just gonna go see what we can accomplish, man. Now, this will be post-commentary. I did record this. I did not record my commentary, so I wanted to make sure at least I have a commentary to kind of explain a little bit as to what I was trying to do, because I do think that we don't see Freddy too often, so I figure that it is pretty good to be to try to be like more informative as to how people can play Freddy in a way and allow for, you know, some really good games. So, totem spots are not too bad, I would say. We are getting some Undying aura, throwing down a little snare around there in case they rotate around. They do use sprint burst. So we just have to close the gap, and they do end up making the pallet. I am placing preemptively some snares as I go along. I kind of switch between playing a little bit like Trapper and a little bit like Clown at the same time. So I'll preemptively will try to place like a snare like around a window so they slow vault, or a doorway or something like that, just to give me a little bit extra distance. As you can see, we were able to you know, mind game a little bit there to force them back around, as they didn't really know which direction I was going to come from. So now we just can go ahead and place them on the hook over here. Now, we also get some pretty decent aura reading from Devour. They ended up getting a gen done. And we start to fake the teleport. Oh, actually, no, we can't fake the teleport. I forgot about that. So what we do is we use class photo and Z block together because of the fact that if we do commit to a teleport, we at least get some free information. So we got a hit. It does hinder them down. They do end up getting a slow vault. I figured I would place the snare around that window so that once they do reach it, they have to do a medium vault. They don't have a choice in that sense. And that's how Clown works. If you have the gas already there, like the pink already there, you'll end up getting that that medium vault, which allows you to get that hit, which is going to be crucial playing an M1 killer. Now, obviously, we're using Devourers, so we ultimately want to focus on getting stacks. Now, I normally wouldn't want to like defend the totem with a snare because we do have Undying, so I figure we're just gonna have to focus specifically on using our snares whenever possible, clearing up pallets whenever we can. I figure that the way that they're moving, I want to at least clear out an extra pallet, so that it seems like you know, just so I can cut down on distance, and then we just go ahead and focus on their teammate, and we continue to follow them. Now, what we also do when we're playing Freddy is we're obviously going to utilize the M1 killer mind games. And we were able to immediately down them because they were too afraid to stay in the tile. Now, that's another thing I do notice when going against snare. Like, when I'm using snare Freddy, is that a lot of survivors will see you place a snare and immediately leave the tile. Which is, if you've ever played Trapper, you know exactly what kind of strategy that's about. And that's something you want to utilize. Depending on the, obviously, the survivor you're up against. Now, if they're willing to stay in the tile, that's when you can place down two separate snares around two separate spots, which is sort of similar to Clown, right? You place your yellow down one spot, you throw your pink on the other, and you can use that to hinder them and speed up at the same time to close the gap a lot faster, and it is more effective. Now, what we're doing here also is we're using v.h.s.x and Franklin, so it does also give us a little bit of extra information depending on where they got slapped, which will also give us some more info. So as you can see, we use Franklin's right there, and v.h.s, which I believe they run back to grab the item, if I'm not mistaken. The Claudette does end up getting eliminated. They did actually run back to grab the item, I think. Yeah, they did. So because they were doing that, and then they immediately are trying to heal themselves, now what we try to do is sort of play some snares around there. There should still be one there, which, as you can see, allows me to get the down very quickly. Now, I was also the same person that said that snares were just completely useless and you shouldn't use them and stuff like that. But as time had passed and I had played more Freddy, I figured, why not give it a shot and see if it actually is terrible, because I never used it myself personally. But after using it myself, I find that it actually is one of the most effective options on Freddy, and I find that it's actually just as good as Dream Pallets. Obviously, what you want to do is play around the two things. So obviously, if you are using a pallet, focused build, you want to have perks around pallets. But if you are trying to utilize snares and you want to have stuff like rapid brutality or other things that involve speeding yourself up, and because the snares in general are going to give them hindered anyway, and it's going to make them very hard for them to be able to go to make full rotations around tiles. As you can see, like it does, like even having the snare there force them to have to drop that pallet. So that's how I see it personally. I figure that, as you can see, we're able to clear out a couple of different pallets because of the fact that they're afraid of even going down because of the hindered. Because having hindered on us, especially on the survivor side, is going to be a detriment. And this is why we know that Made for This, which we gave them 3% around that time, was so incredibly powerful, because that giving a survivor movement speed will allow them to be able to make a lot of different rotations and tiles. And then the Claudette here actually does pick up the item for whatever reason. Now I did want to place a snare like sort of around that window so that they do end up going around. They are forced to go for a slow vault. And now what I try to do is I try to place one snare on each window, so regardless of what vault they go for, they have to go down. Now it really is dependent on which side they're rotating around, but obviously you want to place them on the windows, because that is going to be that key thing that you're going to be able to utilize. Now I do recommend using rapid with the snares. I find that it was quite effective. I find that it was quite effective, because you were able to essentially have that clown effect, or you have haste, and you have a snare down. So think about it this way, like, right, say a survivor is awake, your M1s put them to sleep. If you already have your snare placed down on the tile, right, and that means that they're going to end up having to rotate through that snare, especially if they want to effectively rotate to hug the wall tightly to be able to, obviously get extra distance and be able to make full rotations. So if they do end up going into the dream world at the same time, and you're hitting them with your M1, now you're getting rapid brutality active for an extra 5% haste, on top of the fact that they're going to rotate back into the snare that just, obviously if they just woke up or whatever have you, just went to sleep or whatever have you, you're essentially allowing that to happen, right? So there has been certain situations where that has occurred. I will say that, right? And now we're able to get ourselves a Mori for the Devour. I think I was applying some pretty good pressure here, and it did allow to be able to get Devour value. We're also using Weave Attunement and Franklin's and stuff like that for extra ore reading. Shero decided to just kind of give up there, so we just go ahead and Mori them as well, and we can get them out of there, which is pretty good. So with that being said, I would say that is pretty solid. Now we only have one more to go. We do have the Weave Attunement showing us where the survivor is going to be, so that's what obviously we're going to go for. Now, I will say that it is a very good combo. I do want to drop a video with Freddy showing rapid with the snares. I think like it just makes it like, it is a little bit like clown, like a diet clown, but if you're a Freddy enjoyer and want to basically play clown with a teleport almost, then it would be a pretty good option. And also, if you just enjoy the Friday, why am I saying Friday? The Nightmare on Elm Street, why not, right? I don't see a downside with that, you know what I'm saying? So, let's go ahead and dive right into the next game. Starting off with this one, we are on Gas Haven, I think it's pronounced. And we're using the same build as before. We're using the Z block, the other add-on and stuff like that. I don't really entirely remember why. I think it was because I wanted to be able to teleport away so that the Devourer could like kick in. But it's probably unnecessary. So who knows? But obviously, if you want to switch the add-on, you can try to go for something a little bit different. I went for the snares because I was trying to get more practice in. And as you can see here, actually, we had gotten a hit with Franklin's, and Steve immediately just disconnected. So that I found to be just extremely hilarious. Truly, truly a very fun experience for me personally. I think it was great. So we can just go ahead and get the bot on the hook, and that's where we get it started, right? Because now we're like, okay, perfect. We can go ahead and do that. We can go into the and kind of take a guess as to what gen they're probably working on, and we're just gonna go ahead and commit to the teleport, and just try to rotate our way back in. And we're obviously gonna get Weave Attunement to show us a little bit more information around main. We want to place a snare around the window to make it a lot harder to get the vault off when they're going for the vault. Now there's a lot of survivors around the area, so we want to go ahead and give another M1 to Sable. She goes down for it, obviously, and we just want to go ahead and place them on the hook next. Now this is pretty much the way that I was gonna do it, you know what I'm saying? I just figured that we can just start trading out some hooks, like try to play into that. Now keep in mind also, these two matches are during the gen bug issue that we do have on Dead by Daylight, where it is basically impossible to get hooks anyway. Well, you know, not get hooks, but rather if you hook a lot of survivors, they'll end up getting eliminated and you lose like double the gens than normal. But I figured that this is an opportunity to showcase a fun build to kind of use while that's happening, because, you know, Killer may not be that fun as it is, but I do with the gen bug, but I do believe that if we are able to have builds that are more, you know, unique and interesting, I do feel that it is quite good. It could be quite good. So with that being said, that's why I just decided to not really utilize slowdown and focus more on unorthodox kinds of builds that are going to be interesting to watch, interesting to play, and try to get you guys some pretty good content, especially with Freddy, because I feel that at least from what I've seen, I don't see a lot of Freddy personally. I think that's I think it's a little bit rare to see a little bit of more Freddy. And I do find him to be quite fun. I really do. I find him to be quite enjoyable. I do play Freddy quite frequently. I would say that I am a Freddy main. Obviously, I do play a lot of Ghostface. As you guys have been keeping up with the channel, you guys know I am still a Ghostface main. But I obviously still play Freddy, Pyramid Head, Clown. I mean, you know, usually a lot of M1s and a little bit, and even Death Slinger and is another one I throw in there too. And you'll see those kinds of gameplays rolling up in the near future. But as for now, we are focusing on utilizing Freddy today, right? And I will say, like, the snares are like a lot better than I thought. If you play enough Freddy, you'll know. And obviously, if you even played Clown before, if you played Trapper before, like, these kinds of things will translate over to the snares, and that's one thing I will give them credit for. And I will say that a killer really can only be as strong as the person using them in that sense. So in this instance, I do think that what do you call it? Like Freddy may be objectively weak, you could say. Like, he's like on an objective standpoint, like, he is technically weaker than the rest of the cast, I guess you could say, or whatever you want to call it, or the roster. But he still is not completely useless. And as you're gonna see here, I commit to a teleport all the way over here with the class photo, so I could just force the stack, because I know they were gonna go for the save, so I figured I would have to hurry, teleport, and then just get the heck out of there. And then now they're all scrambling. I think they decided to give up, I believe. So this is when the fun begins, because now we start downing a couple of people. They're like teabagging, losing their minds. They seem pretty mad. So you know, we want to at least check on the totem before we do that. And now we found a survivor by the totem, so we want to go ahead and eliminate them from the game. So, and this person hasn't even been chased, hooked, or anything, and then they're immediately eliminated from the game, which I find to be even more hilarious. Taken out by Freddy, which I will say, I just find Freddy to be very fun. I do think he's one of my favorite killers in the game, which may be an unpopular opinion for many, and his pick rate may be very low, but I think that's also why I want to show you guys how to play a bit more Freddy, or like what kind of builds you can use, or like new things that you can really get you know, like really take into consideration. Now you can see here also that we are able to basically get a quad Mori. I believe I was able to get the quad Mori, I think, last video, match that I showed in the video. And these two were back-to-back games. And I wanted to make sure I made a little video about it, because I thought it'd be really fun to showcase like the quad Mori, you know, with Freddy, you know, and have a lot of fun with it. Because he is one of the most fun killers in my opinion, especially when you're like used to a very specific set of killers. So, for example, like I know I've obviously played a lot of Ghostface, and but sometimes you want to switch it up. You know what I mean? You want to use something fresh. But either way, the strategy ultimately was we're not gonna really worry about the totem too much, but that is going to be the end of the video for you guys. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully, you guys have learned something. I'll, you know, if you enjoyed it, leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube things for me. With that being said, we also check the description for ways to support the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.